I'm Karoli Hindriks and I'm the founder of Jobbatical. So with Jobbatical, we like to think that we are distributing knowledge across the borders. So how we do that is by connecting globally minded companies to a community of tech, business and creative talents who wants to work in another country. Prior to Jobbatical, I started my entrepreneurial journey a very long time ago. I was 16 and basically I was a 16-year-old girl from a small town in Estonia, Eastern Europe, and in our school we had the economical study program called Junior Achievement, and during this program we had to create a student company. And what happened there was, and I think that was kind of my sparkle to the journey of entrepreneurship, I was chosen to be the president of this company, which of course makes any 16-year-old excited. And then I wanted to think of a cool product that we will then start to make. And I had the idea of reflective kind of traffic safety accessory. And I went home to my father and my mother, and I shared this idea. And thinking back, that was the moment I think which defined my journey, because my father could have told me, you know, you're a 16-year-old girl from Eastern Europe, how many, women do business, especially when they're 16-year-olds, go and study. But instead what he said is that, that's such a cool idea. Have you thought about contacting the patent office? I had no idea what was a patent office, but then I found out. I stepped into the patent office. It turned out my idea was very unique, and basically I became the youngest inventor in my country. And if you have already this feeling that my simple idea can change something, that I don't have to have a PhD and be the smartest person on the planet to make a difference, then after that I just couldn't do anything else besides being an entrepreneur. So I helped to launch MTV in Estonia. I helped to launch National Geographic channels, Fox entertainment channels across the Baltics. And I think the biggest thing that started there at the age of 16 was the feeling that I can make a difference without being the best in the world. What is cool about entrepreneurship? I think the biggest thing is the impact. Because we all have our 24 hours, our 7 days, and we use that time somehow. So why not use that time to actually change something in the world? I mean, if you think about innovation, usually it's not like, if you think about simple things, like there's a liquid soap. I mean, there was a soap before, and then there was water before, but connecting two dots that it could be comfortable to have like a liquid soap. Usually innovation is combination of existing things, and we all notice things that could be better. And I think just the problem very often is that we have this idea, but we think we're not good enough to actually make it happen. Why there are so few female entrepreneurs? Actually, it reminded me a story I just heard today. A friend of mine who is a father, I think his daughter is around 12 years old or 11 years old. And he just shared his disappointment when in robotics, his daughter was in a robotics club, and one of two girls in the whole club, and they changed some kind of regulation, so they kicked out, they said that they only keep the best ones, and kicked out the two girls. And I think a lot of our I think we need more confidence, and I think the society doesn't necessarily reflect or give us that confidence. So I think we need to work harder in order to build those confidences. And I think that's one of the main reasons. And as an entrepreneur, to be honest, if you ask me what is the most difficult thing throughout the journey, then I have been now, so I'm 34, I started my first business when I was 16, so I have been an entrepreneur for a long time, but there isn't a day when I think that I'm a failure. And you kind of have this it goes up and down. You think that I'm a failure, then you think, oh, I'm doing very good. Yes, I can get and handle those things. But I think finding that balance between, doubting and then believing, that's the biggest difficulty. Like everything else, the fundings, the team, you can learn to be better at getting those things done, but the confidence is the biggest, I think, difficulty on that journey. What gives me the strength in being an entrepreneur? I think I have to go back to the same making the difference feeling. It's just like when I look at, and that's something that can make me teary a bit, when I look at the change that can happen, when I look at those people who have now built their lives in a totally new country, and not only their lives have changed, but the lives of those teams around them. It's amazing. So it's worth every struggle on that journey. So when I'm really tired, which, it happens, there's no illusion that it's very simple. So when I'm very tired, what I do is, for me, definitely having a 4-year-old daughter who's kind of like a therapy itself, or going running, or just really trying to, I think one of the struggles on that journey, especially if you're building global business, today we are working with companies across 49 countries, and it can get very overwhelming. So really working, I think the biggest thing that I have learned since I was 16 is learning to say no. Because that no helped me to focus on what's important, and it also helped me to focus on me and not so is there a meeting that I can say no to and instead go and have a run, which will make me to be a stronger and better person. So I think learning to say no has been one of my most difficult lessons, but that's something that I'm really working hard to be better at. What am I really proud of in general? So I think when I think about the Jobbatical journey right now, I think the biggest thing, like when I compare to the time when I was 16 years old and suddenly I realized that I can produce something that will change something and mean something. And I think my fear after what I had been doing as an entrepreneur in the Baltic region was that I'm only able to achieve that in this region. But I think having built an international team, which is today from 12 different countries, having the kind of reach where we have talent in our database from every country in the world besides North Korea and one African country. So just like having this understanding the world is actually much smaller than I would have imagined. And inside that, I can still make a difference, and also outside the Baltic region. So I think that has been one of my biggest kind of things that I'm really proud of. So what would I say to somebody who is doubting whether to take that journey? So I think there are two things. First of all, and probably not an answer that you would expect, but I think on one hand, everybody doesn't need to be an entrepreneur, but I think everybody needs to work like they would be an entrepreneur. So whatever you choose in your career, I think in the time where we are entering right now, we have the freedom to choose to do what we actually believe in and what makes a difference that we believe in. So that's one thing. So basically, even if you don't become an entrepreneur, you can act and work as an entrepreneur. But I think the other thing is that I think it's the impact. Like when you have those 24 hours and those 7 days and all the time that we have been given, why not make an impact? Something that changes the world and the people's life for the better. Why waste that time? Why waste that 24 hours? Because I mean, Yes, a lot of companies also fail, but they're learning from the failure. To be honest, like with my first company, yeah, I became very famous very fast as a very teenage entrepreneur, but I did all sorts of mistakes that one could imagine. I did like every textbook mistake one could imagine, and at the end it didn't succeed very much. But it doesn't make that experience less exciting. I learned a lot from it. So I think the failure is also overestimated. And if you think about the impact and the fact that failure is overestimated, then you don't really have much to lose.